Okay, hello again. We're back from the break. I would like to thank you all for attending our second international online conference, Discuss Learning 2020, Vocational Education and Training Focus on Quality. We are now going to start our second session, which is going to be conducted in English. For those of you who did not attend the first session, I would like to remind you that you can press the chat button of the Zoom to type messages to panelists and other attendees. If you have a question, you can type it in the Q&A button, and all questions will be answered at the end of the second session, which is at 5 to 5:15 EET time. And lastly, you can raise your hand. So if we have time at the end of the questions, you will be able to ask your question out loud. Furthermore, I would like to tell you that at the end of the conference, a link will appear to you for an evaluation questionnaire regarding the conference. Now, I would like to ask Ms. Irene Gkotsi to do a summarize of the first session.
Hello again. There's no presentation included for this summary. Just a few words about what has been presented during our first session. I had the opportunity to present an online training course and assessment tool for quality managers in VET. It is called the Genie, and it is under the framework of an Erasmus Plus project called INQUAL. Normally, we would have with us Mr. Glaros, representing the National Organization for the Certification of Qualifications and Vocational Guidance, which is in Greek, it's EOPEP, but unfortunately, due to undescribed reasons, we couldn't have him with us. So after the Genie, Mr. Bitis from Public Vet has showcased the issue of quality assurance in public vets during COVID-19. So basically, this is how we covered the impact of the coronavirus to vocational education and training. Now it is time to move to our first speaker for this session, Ms. Martina Gerli, Project and Communication Officer in Lifelong Learning Platform from Belgium. I think she's with us, but she's muted, and now we can see her. Yes, hello, Martina. Welcome on board. How are you?
Thank you very much. All well, thank you.
Okay, you have the word.
Perfect. I will share my screen for the slides. Okay, can you see my slides? Okay, perfect. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation again. I hear that many of the participants are based in Greece, so I hope you're all doing well, and for anywhere you're from, we're all coping as well as possible with national lockdowns all across Europe. So I was invited today to say a few words about quality in vocational education and training at European level. First of all, my name is Martina Gerli. I'm a project and communication officer at the Lifelong Learning Platform. Just a couple of words on my organization to say where I'm coming from. We are based in Brussels, Belgium, and we are a membership organization. Our objective is to promote a holistic and inclusive vision of education, which covers not only education that happens in schools, so formal education, but also everything that happens in informal and non-formal learning environments. And we aim to do so by facilitating cross-sectoral cooperation between networks of educational institutions and organizations. We have more than 40 members, and we work very closely with the European Parliament and Commission. So first of all, in case, for those that might not be familiar with the main actors that work on vocational education at European level, just as a quick summary. So, of course, the main actor who provides guidelines on education as well as on specifically vocational education and training at European level is the European Commission. And within the Commission, one of its 33 departments is the Directorate General for Employment, which is the center, the icon in the center, so DG EMPL, which also works with the support of two specialized agencies, CEDEFOP, the European Center for Development of Vocational Training, and the European Training Foundation. Quality education has been highlighted as one of the core priorities of the European Commission for the mandate of 2019 to 2024. And indeed, the first principle of the so-called European Pillar of Social Rights is that the fact that everyone has to have a right to quality and inclusive education in order to acquire skills that enable them to participate both in society and in the labor market. However, the European Union only has a supporting competence when it comes to education. This means that member states of the European Union decided to not delegate a major authority when it comes to education to European institutions, but to maintain it at national level. So what the European Union can do is simply to provide guidance and collect data and information from national levels and summarize them in guidelines for the whole of the European Union. However, since competence of the European Union is limited, what can it really do when it comes to quality? I think that the most interesting initiatives of the past few years is the so-called European Quality Assurance Reference Framework. Framework was established in 2009, and it is meant to be a reference instrument for member states to promote and monitor continuous improvement of their VET systems based on a shared reference framework. The contents of the framework are also supported by a specific network that was created around this recommendation in order to make it known to European actors and to facilitate its mainstreaming and sustainability over time. And what this framework does is primarily to provide quality criteria and quality indicators when it comes to quality in VET. More concretely on how this works. So when it comes to quality criteria are defined along the so-called PDCA cycle, which is, we can argue, at the base of the majority of quality management systems, at least in Europe. And it is, just as a quick overview, it comprises 4 phases. PDCA standing for plan, do, check, and act, sometimes also called PDSA when check is substituted with study. The way that it works is that when we're planning a quality improvement, a quality management system or a quality improvement action, we will start with planning, identifying a problem, and based on that problem, identifying a series of actions that we can take to improve the quality. Second step is, of course, to implement the actions that we just planned and check out all of the items. Third step is to analyze what has been done and whether the actions have actually produced a positive impact on quality. And the final step, act, implies assessing whether the improvement has worked, and then we can move on to standardize a certain process. And if it didn't work, to reflect on what can be changed, and then restart the cycle again. So the quality criteria that are part of the European Quality Assurance Framework are based on these 4 phases. This is just as an example. The first quality criteria that is identified in the framework has to do with the plan phase. And it basically answers the questions of which actions we can take to make sure at national level or at VET provider level that quality of VET provision is ensured. So the first, as an example, the first quality criteria having to do with planning mentions that planning should reflect a strategic vision that is shared by the relevant stakeholders and includes explicit goals, actions, and indicators. On the side of each quality criteria, the recommendation that introduces this framework suggests indicative descriptors, both for the VET system level, which is the national level, and also for vet provider level. So which actions can we take at a systemic level and also at an individual level to make sure that we are providing quality vocational education with regard to the planning phase. These are just a few examples. There are many descriptors, but just to give you a few examples, the first descriptor at vet system level would be that we should make sure that we describe we describe goals for vets at medium and long term, and that these goals are linked to European goals. Make sure that everything that goes on at national level reflects what has been recommended at European level. And what individual vet provider, can be a school, an incubator, or any other reality that provides vet education, makes sure that they are aware of European, national, and regional vet policy goals, and that their local targets are aligned to those goals. Also, for instance, at vet system level, it's important that we make sure to involve relevant stakeholders when setting goals for vets for quality. And what someone can do at local level would be to keep ongoing open consultations with relevant stakeholders and identify which specific needs apply to that context. So this is for what concerns quality criteria, which is one half of the reference framework. The other half has to do with quality indicators. This is a bit more concrete and maybe also easier to follow and to apply. These quality indicators are a set of 10 indicators. These are just a couple of examples, and they can be used when either devising or updating a quality strategy. It can be used as a way to measure our improvement, and they all are indicators that guarantee an improvement in quality. So, for instance, second indicator is investment in training of teachers and trainers, and this is an almost sure way to improve the quality of our education. So, if we invest more in the training of teachers after the conclusion of their formal education, and if we invest more in their training, we're almost sure to offer a higher quality education. Another one, for example, is tracking the completion rate in vet programs. So while the dropout rates are affected by different factors, we can, to an extent, say that the number of people who successfully complete a vet program also reflects the quality of the program itself. So the indicators such as this, there are 10 of them, and they can be easily applied in a quality system, a quality management system. And the approach with which the Commission put forward this framework was not to suggest providers to take the whole package and apply it in the national context, but flexibility and adaptability to a national context is one of the highest priorities of this framework. So the idea is that this set of indicators should be a sort of toolbox where each provider takes whichever indicators apply or are relevant or are important to their national context and priorities, and implement them at local level. As I mentioned, this framework is supported at national and European level by a whole network. The website, I linked the website in the slide. You can check it if you're interested in it. And it includes not only the framework itself, which is basically a recommendation, so it's a legal text, but includes also a set of instruments and useful tools and resources for national and local level providers. For instance, there is a page which guides providers to build from scratch a quality assurance approach based on the recommendation, or also another section on how to align an existing system to the recommendation itself again. And finally, there are also, each member state has a contact person or a specific organization which agreed to be the contact person for the framework itself. So if anyone at national level, if any vet provider is interested in learning more about this can contact their national office. And there are also several other resources. There are events and such. But to conclude, why exactly? What added value does a European framework for quality bring? So promoting a shared understanding of what constitutes quality, of course, first of all, ensures that learners receive high quality education in every country. So my organization strongly believes that education is both for both two main objectives, one of them being the development of the individual and our personal growth through time, through formal education, and after we graduate our formal years of education, and also to promote employability. But first of all, having a shared common framework in Europe for quality maybe not guarantees, but facilitates the provision of high quality vet education. Second, as I just mentioned, is it is more likely than to meet the needs of the labor market if we make sure, if we assess the needs of the labor market and try to match them with the provision of quality education. And finally, and maybe most importantly, by promoting a shared vision of quality and shared standards, we improve employability, but also we facilitate opportunities for mobility by guaranteeing that learners' qualifications are recognized. So if we adopt the same standards across the European Union, we make it easier for students that have acquired a certain set of skills to see that set of skills and competencies recognized not only in their national context, but also in other countries that they might be interested in studying or working in. So this is all from my side. Thank you for your attention. And Irene, I pass the floor back to you.
Hello, Martina. Hello again. And I should apologize. It was never necessary for me to say your surname. You are Gerli and not Gerli. I'm really sorry. But okay, I should mention here that with Martina, we worked together for the INQUAL project. So basically, I would like to share some of the comments that we read on the chat. It is in Greek, unfortunately, so I should translate. Many of our attendees said that what you've just presented is really interesting, and maybe next time we should find an interpreter to do the job, you know, between English and the Greek language. Still, I'm sure that most of them are familiar with some terms like VET, what we say, Vocational Education and Training, and some other terms that are related to the framework. There are some people here that share their comments in English, so you should feel more confident with your presentation. Nevertheless, we would like to thank you very much. Your presentation was the perfect follow-up with my presentation about the Gini and the INQUAL project. And I just said a few words about what the general idea of quality in vocational education and training is about. I tried to, you know, refer to some recommendations that are dealing with Europe and in Greece, but of course, you've managed to generate the whole idea, and I really thank you for that. I would like to kindly ask you to stay until the end of this session, because we have already informed our attendees that questions and answers will be at the end of this session, so that we don't lose our flow. But I think you will be with us for half an hour maybe.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Oh, here it is. Bravo, Martina. Okay. Anyway, I will give the word to Nefeli. We are waiting for Miss Tiziana Piacentini. I'm kind of afraid now to read the names and the surnames. I hope my pronunciation is good. While we wait for her, Let's just check if there are any questions and answers. No.
There are no written questions, but if you want to say something or ask a question, you can always raise your hand and we will allow you to open your microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy that you find this useful. We have also, as Irene mentioned, we share a common project on quality in vocational education, and sometimes they describe Brussels as a bubble, meaning that people who work in Brussels sometimes tend to live in a closed space where the workings of the institutions are daily bread, let's say. But sometimes it's difficult to really learn about what happens in the institutions from a national level, especially when someone does not explicitly work in that sector. So it was also our experience with, we interviewed some Belgian vet providers as well. Even if they lived in Belgium, they hadn't heard about European frameworks. So I'm happy that you find this.
We thank you very, very much, Martina. And please stay with us while Tiziana is trying to... Oh, she's already here.
I'm here. Yes, sorry for the inconvenience. Yes. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Tiziana.
Hello.
We should say that this is Tiziana. I don't know why your name is Natasha Kazadzidou, but okay, there must be some kind of a mistake, but still, welcome on board, and we're looking forward to hear your presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you to you. And yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. And yes, thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. And thank you for this, for inviting me and us to talk about, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So about the role of internationalization in quality of vocational educational and training, and about our common EdWorkNet project. I start with my presentation. I share the screen and can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the impact of internationalization in a process in vet development strategy? This impact is on different levels of intervention, and namely it is on organizations, on the staff members, and on the vet system itself. And what is the impact on organization, what we are talking about? We talk about the increase in the quality of the contents of the professional training offer, and also on the variety of employment services. And also we talk about support of modernization processes. And also about the acquisition of procedure and standards recognized at European international level. Martina Gerli just closed her intervention talking about this, the importance to detect of non-formal and informal learning outcomes and their validation, recognition, and transfer between different vet systems. And also, what is the impact on staff members? And it is about the professional managerial and administrative, and linguistic skills. And because we know to manage international project means, yes, to manage different rules and I would say environment working area about then the daily we do, and also the linguistic skills. And we talk, the impact is about the increased use of ICT and acquisition of new digital skills. This is especially true in this moment. We know it because of the pandemic situation, but it was necessary also before this situation, when you work with people and working group abroad. And the impact is on the development of soft skills. In particular, those related to the work in teams in international and multicultural context. And last but not least, the remotivation for individual and teamwork. We know that people can suffer burnout in daily working activities, and to be involved in different and so motivating and stimulating activities as the international is, can remotivate the individual, and that means also the teamwork. And at the end, on the VET system, that means development of a shared transnational system for the management of network initiatives, and the acquisition of a common technical and operational language and support tools. And the EdWorkNet virtual networking space is an example. We'll talk about this in a while. And then support, the impact is on support for the creation of a the European education area dedicated to education and vocational training. And we know we have the last recommendation on this on 2018. And then we talk about the impact is about support for policy reform processes and the expansion of transnational network to support the entry of newcomers organization. And this is also an aim of EdWorkNet project. And then a greater sharing of good practices. This is always one of the most enriching and interesting activities in transnational and international activities to share different and good practices. And now some word about our project EdWorkNet that is financed by Erasmus Plus, and it started on November 2019, and it will finish in October 2021, but we are asking for 6 months more. That means to end the project in spring 2022. what is the general aim of EdWorkNet? The main goal is to strengthen the cooperation between vet providers, association and networks, and the actors of labor market. This is always a sensitive point, and the project want to work on this. Answering to the call from the agency. And the objectives are to establish a network of vet providers to facilitate exchange of knowledge, feedback, and experience of policy implementation, and also sharing best practices on vet excellence. To improve quality of vet provision and linkage with the needs of the labor market, and to enhance impact and relevance of vet provision, both for learners and employers, and to support the transnational mobility of vet students. The partnership involves vet networks. The most of the partners are networks, and employers, representatives, and trade unions, and thematic partners, as IDEC is, that is hosting us with this event. And what is the structure of EdWorkNet? We did in the first part of the project a transnational context study on about the work-based learning and apprenticeship in the involved countries. The countries are 6 and are Italy, Spain, French, Ireland, Greece, and Lithuania. And then we have activities about vet and labor market, a survey to the learners and students in work-based learning experiences, and an information pack for companies and vet providers on how to manage, better manage VBL and mobilities, and internationalization strategy, and of course all the transversal VPs and activities to manage the project. And how EdWorkNet want to support the internationalization? First of all, a virtual networking space. We are working on build an online platform that will provide services for vet providers and companies that need and will to engage in European mobility projects. And on the platform, we want to provide document, material, tools to support them. And also through the platform, we want to give support through the European Project Support Office, provided through the virtual networking space, supporting the vet providers, the newcomers vet providers to mobility projects. And also we are going to realize webinars for vet trainers, organized for vet providers that want to submit their mobility application for first time and need technical support. And at the end, a transnational conference in Athens next autumn, also during the European Vocational Skills Week, with the focus on internationalization strategies of VET providers and on the organization of transnational mobility project for VET staff and learners. And yes, here you can see our, you can visit us on our media. And yes, I thank you for your patience and attention.
I think that our presentation in this session were really interesting for those that are working in VET in Greece, because it has been an opportunity for them to see another perspective, the one from Europe. They had the opportunity to find out about other approaches and the EdWorkNet project. So I think it was a nice, a successful first day of this conference. I would like to thank everyone from the people that are here with us for their patience, for staying for 2 hours and spend their afternoon with us. We will see each other in the following days. Thank you very, very much.
Irene, we have a question from Mrs. Koliou. How do you see the future of Erasmus+? I think this goes to all panelists.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe Ms. Tsikli could give an answer, but she's not with us in this session. Okay, I have just a small answer. I totally believe in Erasmus Plus because it is a big opportunity that includes more smaller ones for each sector. And it is a great opportunity to meet new people, to discuss with them about good practices, to learn how they work and raise the standards that you use and that you have adapted so far. So it is nice that we celebrate the European Union in such a way. That's my answer.
And we have another question. I'm not sure to which panelist. The question is, does anyone have access at the platform?
Yeah.
Tiziana, we cannot hear you. Tiziana.
Yes, May?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Please tell us.
Yeah. Yes, talking about the virtual networking space in EdWorkNet, we are the platform is under construction, and of course, when it will be ready, it will be public, and so people. The most of the most of the space, the virtual spaces, will be public, and people, and in any case, people could can ask to be registered in the platform.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now it's time to close the first day of the Discuss Learning conference. We will continue tomorrow and also on Wednesday and Thursday with the first sessions in Greek and the second session in English. So if you haven't registered, please do so at the conference's site at the discusslearning.eu. Thank you very much all for attending. So we will see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you to you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.